They asked the single dad janitor to help as a joke, but his karate move stopped a real attack. David Carter pushed his mop bucket down the long corridor of Meridian, Tech's headquarters every single day, invisible to the people who rushed past him with their coffee cups and laptops and important conversations. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small moments to change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness True Stories. Also, tell us in the comments where in the world are you watching from. He was 42 years old, quiet, and wore a faded grey uniform that had his name stitched above the pocket in small blue letters. Most employees never noticed that name. To them, he was simply the janitor, the man who cleaned up their messes and disappeared before they could feel awkward about it. What none of them knew was that before the budget cuts took his coaching job, before his wife left and he became the sole parent to his 8-year-old daughter Lily, David had spent 15 years training in Shotokan karate and had earned a second-degree black belt. He never talked about it. That was never his way. On a Thursday afternoon in March, the company hired a self-defense consultant named Marcus Hale to conduct a corporate training session in the main conference room. Marcus was loud, confident, and enjoyed the sound of his own voice more than anything else in the room. He had a slick presentation, a stack of business cards, and the kind of manufactured charm that impresses people who aren't paying close enough attention. As David quietly emptied the trash cans near the back of the room, Marcus spotted him and saw an opportunity for easy entertainment. "Hey, you!" Marcus called out, snapping his fingers toward David. "You want to be our volunteer? Come show everyone how a real attack looks." The room filled with uncomfortable laughter. People exchanged glances. Someone whispered. David looked up slowly, set down his trash bag, and walked toward the front without a word. Marcus grinned at the audience like a man who had already won. He staged a slow, theatrical attack meant to look dramatic while staying completely safe, expecting David to stumble backward in confusion and give the crowd a good laugh. What happened instead silenced every single person in that room. David moved with a precision and economy of motion that was almost impossible to follow with the naked eye. In one clean, controlled sequence, he redirected Marcus's arm, stepped inside his stance, and brought him to the floor so gently and completely that Marcus had no choice but to tap out. There was a full 3 seconds of total silence before anyone breathed. Marcus stood up slowly, his face moving through surprise, embarrassment, and then something closer to genuine respect. He straightened his shirt and looked at David with new eyes. "Where did you learn that?" he asked quietly. "A long time ago," David said simply, and started walking back toward his trash bag. But the moment wasn't finished yet, because what happened next was the part that nobody planned. A man near the side door, who had slipped in from the building, and next door, and had been watching the session, looking for an opportunity, suddenly lunged at a female executive named Sandra, grabbing her bag and shoving her hard against the wall. The room erupted in panic, chairs scraping, people shouting. David was already moving before most people had registered what was happening. He crossed the room in 4 steps, intercepted the man with the same controlled force he had just demonstrated, immobilized him against the wall with a joint lock that caused no injury, but made movement completely impossible, and held him there calmly until security arrived 90 seconds later. When it was over, Sandra was shaking but unhurt. The attacker was handed to police. Marcus stood in the corner looking at David with an expression that had no easy name. The room was completely still. David picked up his trash bag, tied it off, and replaced the liner in the bin near the door. An executive named Richard, who had laughed loudest when Marcus first called David forward, walked over and extended his hand. David shook it without making him feel small for having laughed. That was perhaps the most powerful thing of all. That evening, David picked Lily up from school, made her favorite pasta, helped her with homework, and told her what she already believed with her whole heart, that doing your job with dignity, staying ready without being loud about it, and treating every person with basic decency is never wasted, not even when the world overlooks you. Because sometimes the world stops overlooking you all at once, and you want to be exactly who you already were. If this story moved you, please show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel Kindness True Stories, where we celebrate the quiet heroes, the overlooked warriors, and the everyday moments that remind us what humanity is truly made of. Your support keeps these stories alive and reaching hearts that need them most.